Okay, I think this is recording. I haven't made a video in a long ass time, and part of it is because I stopped having to advertise myself. I felt that like the YouTube channel was going to be a way that I could maybe drum up clients, and I found ways to do it without it. And I'm busy, but so the bad news is I'm not going to be making videos to all 12 of you that give a shit. The reason that I'm making this is because I keep having to give this pitch, and it sucks because it doesn't change that much, and it takes an hour. So I am just going to put this on reel. I guess I'm just going to record it, and then I can just send, hello, you person I sent this link to. It's for you. It's for you, the person that was sent this link because I didn't want to spend an hour talking you out of YouTube. So it's not just, I call it an anti-pitch. I use this to talk a lot of clients out of running YouTube. And a big reason for that is for me to be able to make you happy running your YouTube ads, you have to make certain concessions. And if we can't make that happen, then I'm just not going to be able to make you happy. And I would rather spend your money doing smart stuff. So we're going to talk about a lot of shit. We're going to talk about just YouTube, things about it, fun facts. There's some pieces of trivia in here. Learning from past experience. So what did we learn from 80 years of TV advertising, right? How can that be applicable to YouTube? I'm going to name drop, not like, I'm a nobody, and these people certainly don't know me, and they have names, right? Everybody has a name, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to say some not very nice things maybe about some people that I hope never see this. And they shouldn't. If they didn't, they're not missing out on much. But I don't say it to be a dickhead or make me out to be like some supreme badass. Just because I don't know. I've given this talk enough times to where it's more or less rehearsed. And if I were to try to all of a sudden not say, oh, like this person's name, and then something nice or something nasty, like I'm not going to say this person's name and then something nasty, then it would be weird, and I'd be all of a sudden be self-conscious about what I was talking about. And who cares? I'm not shooting this video for them. I'm shooting this for me in the future. So please, nobody watch this unless you were sent the link. Kidding, but whatever. Here we go. YouTube review. So this is just proof, like people who brag about or are braggadocious or act like the number that they spent is meaningful in any sort of way, shape, or form are fucking nerds and bullshitters. We've all seen, like, I think you get to a certain place in this business where you've seen enough really, really, really high spend accounts to know that high spend and how good someone is, how good the manager is, do not correlate. So I say that after giving you evidence for all those nerds. So this doesn't mean anything, but look, I've spent enough money to be able to like say like I've done this well. Enough people have trusted me with enough money that this isn't coming from nothing. I kind of just wanted to show this because the last video that I had, I didn't. I think it's like YouTube is Google has ruined a generation of search marketers or something like that. I don't know. But I acted like this $300 that I spent for a nicotine toothpick client was like had some revelatory experience to my understanding of YouTube. But no, like I'm not just Mr. $300. I do a lot of this. So I give this to clients. I've told you that. This is something I like to say. This is the only thing that you're going to remember. To some of the less savvy clients, these are fun pieces of trivia. And part of, and I'll say like one important insight that a lot of people miss. So clients here, OTT, they get their doors kicked down by TV advertisers, or I don't know, God knows who ends up in their inbox. OTT just means like it's a TV commercial that we show people over the internet on a television set. YouTube is that. You can do that. It's platform agnostic. You probably don't need me to tell you what that means. And it's the second largest search engine in the world. More people put a search into YouTube than use like Bing or whatever, right? So that a lot of these are like navigational queries. Like there's not a lot of commercial intent. We hear search engine and just normally associated with like people looking to spend money, and that's why clients pay us to go reach those people. YouTube isn't that kind of search engine. We'll go over how there could be. I mean, if it wasn't ruined by Google, you could monetize. There's some monetizable searches. The one that we talk about is what to do if I've been injured in a car accident, right? There should be lawyers with videos that are willing to pay to have their videos advertised in that space. But we'll see that that's not what happened, or not what happens, rather. The other thing is YouTube revenue exceeded Amazon ads. Google doesn't actually usually divulge these numbers. This is the first time that I've actually seen the amount of money coming from a specific business sector within Google from the advertising actually separated out. And that's weird because it seemed like this was done for a petty reason. It seemed like Google only did it to prove that more people spent more money than Amazon, like neener, blow me, Bezos. And that seems really petty and stupid to me. But here it is. More people spent money in YouTube ads than on Amazon in 2019. Whoop-de-doo. I think it's worth including because you might hear that the average cost per click in Google has decreased every year. Google, that's a lie because you hear that and you think search ads. Search ads are cheaper, right? Search ads have been getting more expensive since I started in like 2015. But Google reports like just it reports all cost per click. Like let's put all the cost in one column and let's put all the clicks in the other. And you can get a shitload of clicks in YouTube for cheap. And that sort of brings down the average. And this is why you'll see things like in 2017 and 2018, or it might be 2018 and 2019, just the cost of YouTube halved. Why is that? It's so that Google can continue perpetuating this like Silicon Valley, like, narrative of like, we get better every year and it's cheaper and better for everybody and blah, blah, blah. Economies of scale, right? But the fact that that this was separated out for the first time, the fact that that is like very counter to this important narrative to Google is why I think this is worth sharing with clients. That and they might remember that like, Amazon ads versus YouTube ads. I don't know. This is the big thing, the key insight that a lot of people miss. Cost per view is a fucking lie. If you read this thing, it says that you only pay when someone watches at least 30 seconds of your ad or clicks on it, right? And that's not exactly, like if you have a 6-second ad, obviously they can't watch it 5 times, so you pay when the ad's over. So the actual, like most accurate way of describing cost per view is you pay, again, this is the fake bullshit narrative, is when someone either watches at least 30 seconds or completes it, whichever's shorter, or clicks on it, right? This is bullshit. So I want you to imagine that on this guy's left hand, the other columns are saying things like, they're all different ads, right? Let's say that these are ads. And I want to take you through this thought experiment, which you'll see on the next slide. But maybe the most important reason that it's a lie is that like that's not even how YouTube pays that's not how YouTube pays the YouTube creators, and it's not how just like there's no world where Google is taking into account ad goodness by how often people are looking at 30 seconds. I won't harp on it, right? But I want you to imagine these, right? So on the left we have different ads of varying lengths, and then what cost per view is descriptive of, right? And so if you think about what we're paying for units of attention, right? So we're willing to pay someone to show an ad, and the ad can be as long as we fucking want it on YouTube, right? They're like, I forget what movie came out, but they showed the sequel or the prequel, not the prequel. They showed the first movie when the sequel came out as an ad, just the full movie as an ad. It was like 2-hour long ad, right? And that got people talking, and it was more of a publicity stunt than anything else. But there's no limits, right? But the important thing is, what is cost per view descriptive of, right? And so if you're thinking about money for certain units of our potential customers' attention, let's look at these different ads. The red ad is 6 seconds long, right? And if you look at the CPV, you see how much you paid for 6 seconds of someone's attention. And this is true for 15 and 30 seconds too. Like the cost per view is the cost per this many units of attention or click, right? But whenever you start running longer ads, and ads shouldn't be, I don't know why people are in such a fucking hurry to borrow these dinosaur legacy ad unit types. Like, should it be 15 or 30 seconds? Like that, there are only 15 and 30 second ads in the world. That's only the standard because TV time needed to be cordoned off and blocked off that way. It was the only way to make, like, people knew how long to make TV shows and how they could sell the ads to advertisers, right? But with YouTube, it doesn't fucking work that way anymore. It doesn't need to work that way anymore. But people ask that. It's a stupid question. It's not a stupid question. It comes from ignorance. It's just practiced, I guess. But there's no reason that 15 or 30 seconds is important. But shut up, Josh. You should run ads longer than 30 seconds, okay? And they should be, like, in some cases, they should be a lot longer. We'll go over that later. But what breaks down is whenever you have multiple add multiple ads that are over 30 seconds, and the cost per view you just gets lost in comparison. Like there's the relativity, like the ability to compare between ads just breaks down and becomes meaningless. So yeah, that's just don't it. Not only is it a lie, you don't actually pay a cost per view. You pay a CPM. Cost per view is just a converted CPM anyway, right? But it's also meaningless as a metric for understanding success. So what should you look at? Look at average cost or CPM. Look at your average CPM, because the CPMs between these are you're going to be able to make those comparisons, and you're going to be able to learn something from those. Just the comparison between the two different ads. And targeting types too. Like, what are you paying for your CPM for a remarketing audience versus a custom intent audience versus, a frequency audience, which we'll go over later, versus an in-market audience, right? Then the comparisons become apt and meaningful, and you can back into things. Google doesn't do this because the CPMs for YouTube are really high, and they've been really high. Like, if you compare a CPM for a YouTube campaign to a just normal display campaign on Taboola, someone who's used to seeing those Taboola numbers and then CPM after them, their fucking eyes are going to pop out of their head, which is, again, why? Why do we have a CPV? For marketability. It makes the YouTube go down a little bit easier, right? Because you get to, it feels good. I only paid, I didn't waste money on impressions that weren't valuable. Good for me. This looks like I was going to put something here and then didn't. So let's ignore that slide. We're going to go over the ad units, and this seems out of place until you hear what I have to say about bumper ads. So we're going to go over the ad units. What kind of ads can you run on YouTube? These are the skippable in-stream ads. These are the ones that you should be using. I like skippable ads instead of unskippable ads. Unskippable ads, like, they sound nice. Haha, they have to watch my ads. I got them, right? I think there are a couple rules of thumb that just like I just hold dear to my heart because they resonate with me. And one of them is good ads are unobtrusive. And I realize we're breaking someone's concentration. They said they want to watch one thing and then they're going to see my ad. But I think that unskippable ads are more obtrusive than skippable ads. And I don't think you're just going to have a better ad. I don't think your ad is going to be better or for forcing someone to watch it. I like giving people the ripcord. Because what we want is like meaningful attention, not forced attention. I don't know. We can get into this, but I like unskippable ads, in-stream ads, but there are other ads. Bumper ads are shit. I say this because there is just if you look at the CPMs, the bumper ads are going to look like they've got a really low if we look at CPVs, bumper ads are going to look like they've got a very cheap CPV. But again, we're talking about units per attention. How long are we giving? Like for what we pay, how are we going to influence action? And you only get to do it for 6 seconds. And there's a universe where bumper ads are sufficiently cheap. Like if they were free, I would say like, fuck yes, yes, they're free. You should be running infinity bumper ads. But the problem with bumper ads is for what you get, they are not sufficiently cheap enough, right? Let's say they cost a CPM on a bumper ad was exactly a fifth of the cost of a 30-second ad. I would say like, yeah, they're about even. Probably not, because there are components to ad units. But for the sake of argument, let's just say that's the magic number. That's not reality. The CPM isn't sufficiently cheap enough to mandate or to merit their use. They're shit. And YouTube ads, again, the people that run YouTube ads push this because they're told to, and not because this is a little bit more in depth than a smell test, but they don't fucking think that hard about it. So just stop taking your fucking Google Reps calls altogether. But two, the circumstances that would make this a feasible option don't exist. They are far too expensive for what you get, which is 6 seconds of a user's attention. So don't make bumper ads. And if you, I've given this fucking talk to people who actually set up YouTube ads for Google, right? And if you get in this little Google, like, I'm gonna set up YouTube, we're gonna get you going on YouTube, then they'll tell you to make a 6 second, a 15 second, a 30-second ad. Like fucking no. I don't care if Google told you that you needed a 6 second bumper ad, or that you're working with Google. Don't fucking run bumper ads. They're shit. Don't do it. The next is discovery ads. Discovery ads are the ads in the margins that you will see where you can people can click on this little listing and then they can watch your ad. This is okay. It's fine, right? It's fine if you just want to, like if you're promoting your YouTube channel and you were like, I thought that people who watch Filthy Frank would like hearing about, PPC shit, then I could buy ads on Filthy Frank's videos and say like, hey, I'm just as good as fucking Filthy Frank. Come watch my videos. For most DR advertisers, which I assume if you care about what you do with your client's money, I assume you are, doesn't make a lot of sense for most advertisers because it's just, there are better ways to spend your money usually than this outside of some very niche cases like you're trying to build a YouTube following, which isn't most people. So for this specific case, I've even tried running it on some DR clients. Like I was like, this is something we should try to do, but it's just a non-starter because you don't even get a click through. Like you don't get to set a click through URL, for example. So all the clicks have to be brought to the YouTube watch page, right? So I say just in for 99% of cases, just don't worry about discovery ads. This is the other thing you would think that for discovery ads, right? This is what we'd hope they were, right? Which is they actually used to be this way. So because YouTube needs to be broken off from Google and made its own ad unit and not just be ruined by fucking dipshit search marketers that don't know video advertising, can you see how if someone in Foley, you live in Foley, Alabama, right? And you're a car injury attorney. And you could shoot a video that says like what to do if you've been injured in a car accident, right? And only target it to people in Foley, Alabama. And it could end with call me right now, call this number, right? But that's not what happens. This is just Google search partners. So they have taken this thing that could be, you could have, I want to say elegant, but that's not the wrong word because it's far from simple. But like this could be a very creative use of YouTube as a search engine. And Google just went no search partners because it's hard to do well. And even though this would be useful, Google wants to monetize all these searches, not just the ones that people have video content for. So it's a damn shame. But in this world where you think you've got an injury attorney and you're gonna push your ad first in the search auction, nope, no, you're not. This is just what people see. Whenever they make a search that could be monetized. What do you think those clicks are worth, guys? Huh? What do you think people are paying for YouTube clicks for Can I Sue After Car Wreck to be brought not to a video, but to an injury attorney's website? So ad units, this is what you get. I say if you want to work with me, this is what we're doing, and we're not going to do bumper ads. And so yeah, you guys should do that. Everyone should be like me, you guys. I don't know why I'm showing this again. Okay, yeah. So what I just said. YouTube videos learning from history. Google thinks that they've cracked the case on direct response video advertising, and it hasn't looked like anything Lester Wonderman has done, or with his direct response video, or any lesson we've learned from the greats like David Ogilvy, who you'll see on the next page. They cracked the case first try. And I think there's a slide where we go over what their genius idea of direct response video advertising is. But here's something that we're going to have to break away. This is where whenever I start talking to clients, I say, just because we show someone an ad doesn't mean we can influence action at all. The ad needs to be good. We're trying to get someone to do something that they weren't going to do before by convincing them to do so. And unless we do a really good job of that, unless the ad is great, unless the ad is good, people aren't going to do what we want them to do, and we're just pissing money into the Google volcano. Here's David Ogilvy. He's saying in this little ditty here that there's this. He wonders if there's a tacit conspiracy among advertisers to. I've used the word perpetuate a lot, motherfuckers, and I'm going to continue. One more perpetuate coming at you, right? But if there is this conspiracy to perpetuate the notion that all advertising increases sales. So I've given you an example of like if the ad is bad, nothing will happen. In the blue up there, right? It says he provides an example of an ad so bad it unsells product. He said like there's a guy that sells beer, and he sells more in places where he doesn't advertise because his ads are so bad they make his beer sound worse. So just because you run an ad don't think that the only thing that happen is or the only thing that can happen is sales will go up. You can run an ad that's bad that will unsell your product. And like if the brewer just showed, I don't know, if there was a Sam Adams commercial that showed those bearded Sam Adams guys just pissing into the beer vats, right? That might unsell Sam Adams. The same thing is, which we'll go over here in a second, is I call bad ads raspberries, which would be nothing, right? So like, you know what raspberries are, like just, that's a raspberry. If you wanted to sell Sam Adams and you paid me to show a Sam Adams ad that was just me making raspberries on my arm for 30 seconds, no mention of Sam Adams beer, no nothing, I would bet nothing. I would bet I would not. You could spend $10 million on that ad campaign and you're not going to sell a lot of Sam Adams beer, right? This is the evidence. I'm saying this is like a raspberry, like this is all the T's and B's and H's. This is a raspberry on a branded term. If I bid on samadams.com or whatever, and I did this, just because people tend to click on whatever's the first ad in the auction, I'm sure that we would get a sale on this. Like, so the ad could be maximum bad or irrelevant in this case, not necessarily bad. The search ad could be maximum irrelevant, and you're probably still going to get some searches. But for YouTube advertising, this is just nothing will happen. It's David Ogilvy again. I'm not sure whether I should do this because this is an ex-client. I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm sure you guys can't hear the ad, but there's no voiceover in this. This is a client of mine who I love. Please don't. I'm sure I signed. No, I have no knowledge, no past or present knowledge of NDAs. Right? There's no way I signed one, which is why I'm confident that I can show you guys this. But there is Stranger Things music playing in the background, and I want you guys to look. I probably should shut the fuck up. But do you see all these guys? They're 20-somethings. Oh, look at that. You know, they're in the park, and there's 20, the Stranger Things music playing in the background. No, this looks great. This is expensive. They got models. This is high quality. This doesn't look that cheap to do. This looks great. Explore our stranger places. I should cut that out probably so that you don't know who my client was. But what I like to do is in this exercise, I show people that ad and I go, what do you think? What do you think that was an ad for? Which is more than the people that got the ad on YouTube had. They didn't say, hey, we're going to show you something and they want you to do something. What do you think they want you to do? Right? People that are watching the ad aren't thinking like that. They just want to see fucking Katy Perry or whatever, right? And a lot. Sometimes I get shrugs, right? Very tentative about this. I might just blur this out on YouTube after I upload it. But then I go, okay, here's an even better ad. Now this one actually has a voiceover, and it's some like Wilford Brimley looking motherfucker, and it's hey, our national parks, defend our homeland, and he's saying like a bunch of stupid shit like lose your cell phone, blah 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 blah, right? You'll see the Wilford Brimley guy here in a second. Hashtag Rad Parks. There's him, right? But he's saying like, God, get out there, go out in nature, and blah 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 blah. God, I look like an idiot. I'm in the red dirt mud. Again, it doesn't matter. The ad might as well. I guess the exercise is that like no one guesses right. And usually what people say is, oh, they want me to donate to national parks or they want me to go to the national parks. But if you were to watch these ads again, there are a bunch of sexy 20-somethings stumbling around the woods like the fucking start of a bad slasher movie. But you see the clothes that those sexy 20-somethings are wearing, you guys? I guess if I blur this out, you're going to have to... You see that sexy motherfucker there? You can buy that shirt. Oh, there we go. Well, I was trying to fast forward with my keys. But all these, you can buy that shirt. They sell clothes. And a portion of the stuff goes to the national parks or whatever, right? And they're actually really good clothes. They're great clothes. They're not a client. They haven't been for like a year or so. I still buy their clothes because they're cool. And I actually really like the people that work there. But that is an ad that did nothing. We showed it and nothing happened because it was a bad ad. And it wasn't a bad ad because they didn't spend lots of money. They spent lots of money. It wasn't a bad ad because it didn't look good. It looked great. Right? It was contemporary. You can say a bunch of nice stuff, but you can find nice things to say about that ad. I'm sure the videographer that did it was very happy with himself. The model shouldn't feel bad. They should be happy they were out in the woods stumbling around. But this was a bad ad because it didn't tell people what to do. It did not convince people to do something that they weren't going to do before, which is what we're trying to do with YouTube ads. So this is where I've showed you the bad ads, right? So I've gone over, there's a bunch of little pitfalls. Google gives you a shitload of different ways to lose your ass running YouTube ads, okay? So you got to pick the right ad type. The other thing is you can spend a lot of money on ads. You can spend a lot of money on ads and then nothing will happen. And sometimes you might lose money in the the peeing in the beer vat example, right? But we're going to start over. How do we reach a level of understanding where we have this appreciation for context and intent about how are we going to make a good YouTube ad, which is where I get into now. So this is the context, like quite literally. This is the context that a user is in seconds before they see your ad. Okay. Now I warned you, I say not nice things about certain people. There's a guy who's known as the YouTube guy in the PPC world, I guess. His name's Corey Henke. Corey, I'd like to talk to you sometime, I guess, just to talk shop. If you see, you're not going to fucking see this. I hope you don't see this. Okay. But I would say he hasn't contributed much of value. I know he goes to like all of the fucking, he gives a bunch of presentations. I've seen his slides, right? He goes to Hero Conference and all this fucking horse shit. I think he's a good salesperson. He's good enough to be known as the YouTube guy, or when his name comes up whenever you think about like PPC YouTube dudes. Him and like, I like Bryant Gavin. Bryant Gavin's an OG. But what Corey did is he coined the terms lean in versus laid back to describe the ad context that users are viewing your ad in. So this is what Corey says, I think, I don't know. This is why YouTube ads should look different than Facebook ads, even though you need video for both platforms. So lean in is Facebook, and that's the way you describe the context, because a lot of times people are on their phones, they're scrolling through their newsfeed, and because Facebook sucks, because you're just seeing what your fucking grandma's cat did or what your college roommate had for dinner the other night, your product is more interesting than that. So you're like those Parks Project shirts, like sexy 20-somethings in the woods. I can protect the national parks and look sexy in 20-something too. Tell me more. And then you leave Facebook, you go by, and you feel good about yourself. And then you go back, you just Pavlovianly type facebook.com into the ad browser again, and then the cycle repeats. That's why Facebook ads work, because Facebook sucks so much, but people use it anyway. Laid back is YouTube. YouTube rules. YouTube's great. So Parks Project, shirts. We're selling, I shouldn't fucking say their name. Beep. But we're selling shirts, right? We're selling cool shirts. And someone is on the YouTube homepage. Hey, I got some time on my hands. What do I want to do? Oh, Margot Robbie. I love her. Man, she was great in Wolf of Wall Street. And I like hot ones. I'm going to watch Margot Robbie eating hot wings on Hot Ones with Sean Evans. I love them both. Click. And then your ad plays like picoseconds after that happens, right? That's the context that it fucking happens in. And it's T-shirts aren't more interesting than Margot Robbie eating hot wings. They're not. And that shouldn't blow your mind either. Just take your product or service and then throw it in there. Marketing software or, roofing. Okay. But I don't mean to imply that nothing happens. I don't mean to imply that it's impossible to influence action, or that is someone who sees your ad before watching the hot wings. I don't mean to imply that there's no way to make money because you've shown a good ad in front of a customer that a good target, we'll say, right? And so what happens? What happens if they're gonna see my ad? So you have their attention. That's the other reason why this is important. With Google or with YouTube ads, you at least have their attention, right? That's the devil's handshake. They're not going to do something right now. They are not going to stop wanting to watch Margot Robbie hot wings because of your ad, but you do have their undivided attention, because this click happened right before they were like, yes, I would like to start watching a video now, please click, and then your ad plays, which is extreme. That's valuable. You should pay for this if you can, again, get past this. But what happens is you tend to influence action indirectly. Okay, so that means that like they're not going to stop watching the ad. They're not going to stop watching Margot Robbie because they saw your ad and all of a sudden overcome with the desire to buy a shirt, right? So what ends up happening when YouTube ads work? And we're going to be doing like lift studies. Don't get a lift study from Google, right? Talk to me if you want a fucking lift study. But what tends to happen is you'll see lift in a handful of places. Paid search and organic search are among them. What happens is a lot of times you'll just drum up search volume for your brand if you make a good ad. If you look back at my nicotine toothpick ad, you'll see that like it ended up not being a great ad because what it made, we even made it right, but because of some factors outside of our control, we couldn't build frequency in. What people walked away from that video with was nicotine toothpicks are a thing? Whoa! Even though we said the name of the brand like 1,000 times, but oh, excuse me, that's yummy. But what people tend to do, they'll Google the name of your product if your ad is good, and that's a very cheap way to acquire customers. So it still works. It's not like an additional ad expense on top of YouTube that makes this just untenable. And so I forgot I got pointer. Right, so you'll see some lift in paid search and in organic search from people just Googling the name of your product. And that can be up to 2 or 3 days after they've seen an ad or your ad started. That was another lesson that we learned from the nicotine toothpicks. But it's also not, the point of that is that like you can influence action for up to like, we'll say like 2 days after people have seen your ad. I've seen specific proof of that. Direct is if you mention your URL in your ad, and you should. I hope you do. Sometimes people will like, if I'm watching on my computer, I can like, my phone's plugged in, but I can whip out my phone and I could just Google the name of whatever it is that you guys are showing me. Referral is another thing that you can that you might see lift from. That is if I had a client that sold a pet product, and it was a cat product, and it was the brand name and then cats was the name of the URL, but all anyone would type into the search bar was the brandname.com. And so what we ended up seeing was all the direct traffic that came from people just not knowing the cats came after the URL. They actually owned both domains, was counted as a lift in referral traffic. And then, so these are ways that you can measure lift and what actually happens, after people see our ads. Making resonant ads, audience targeting is the other thing. So a lot of people drop the ball here, and I want you to imagine these as different campaigns. And this is sort of like a reverse funnel, right? So with site visitors, you have people who have recently been on your site, and you want those segmented by the same way that you would a display campaign. So you have your abandoned carts, and you treat them a little bit differently, maybe probably only just bids. And you've got your product viewers, and then you've got all site people who have spent more than 30 seconds on the website. That is that's like the sort of bottom of the funnel, and it's super cheap to do this. A lot of the times, the clients that get this pitch, we end up just doing site visitors anyway because it passes the smell test. We can say, hey, do you see the ROAS on the abandoned cart campaign for the display ads? Why don't we just show those people YouTube videos too? And it's a way to get people to sort of like buy into YouTube ads. That sort of get turned off of the thing that I said, we're not going to be measuring last click attribution. We know down to the penny how many sales our YouTube ads have made or are responsible for. The next are things like custom intent audiences, right? These are, and really there should be a subsection here for like customer lists, like past purchasers, if this is something that people can buy from again. So, we'll say like just anything that may not be a site visitor, but like email lists and stuff. And then custom intent audiences. I think this is the best tool that we got. And unfortunately for us, custom intent, to be eligible to see a custom intent audience, there's just like a window of every keyword that you plop into a custom intent audience. What you're doing is your purchase cycle or whatever, depending on if you're going for like really bottom of the funnel, like it's anyone who's made a Google search with the terms that you select in the last 7 days. So if you sell a product or a service where the research stage of the buying cycle is longer than 7 days, what you're doing is like you're sort of cutting, like if you're cutting Coke, I guess, but you're just cutting it with people that will, they say if everyone buys that searches these bottom of the funnel terms, everyone buys within 4 days. Well, then you're just cutting all those searches with 3 days of people who have already bought, because there's this limit of, when you select a keyword or a term that you plop into a custom intent audience, anyone who's made that search is in that audience for 7 days. So that's an asterisk, I guess, for all custom intent audiences. But the way to do this well isn't to. There's an old Mitch Hedberg joke. I'm sorry, I know I'm like not lucid, and I've got sort of broken train of thought. But a great search marketers are like a Mitch Hedberg joke where Mitch Hedberg says, "If I could have any job in the world, I would be a kitchen appliance namer." And I'm gonna explain why the joke's funny, which makes it even better. I know what you're thinking, but it's funny because that job doesn't need to exist. It's ridiculous that someone would be paid to name kitchen appliances. And the joke goes, "Hey, Mitch, there's this thing that goes in a fridge and it keeps vegetables crisp." And Mitch goes, "Okay, we'll call it a crisper." And then he goes, "Hey, hey, Mitch, I've got this invention. It turns bread into toast." And he goes, "That's a fucking toaster," right? And that is what search marketers do. You've all been trained for fucking however many years you've been doing this to. If someone's like, a veterinarian or something, you're like, "Oh, veterinarian, city name, veterinarian near me, dog is sick," if you're crazy, right? What to do if dog is sick? Like, oh shit, you've done something other than be a kitchen appliance namer. With custom intent audiences, the way that we do this for YouTube, because what we're doing isn't demand capture, which is the role of traditional search, but instead generate demand, which is the role of traditional marketing, right? Just marketing in general is getting someone to do something that they weren't going to do before. Is you need to create personas around the audience that you want to target, and then think about what those people would be searching, right? So for the cat product, this was something that like, it's a special kind of kitty litter, right? And we had to go, like, I owned a cat, like my parents owned a cat growing up, and we would never have bought this cat litter. Why is that? And then we would have to go like, well, because we don't necessarily like dote on our cats, right? It's not important that our cat have the best cat litter. It's a fucking cat. But I tried to think about who would, and I came up with like the persona of fancy cat owners. And I got fancy cat owners. I was like, what would a fancy cat owner do that my parents would never have done? And I came up with shit like, it's not just buy wet cat food because it's like not fancy enough, but it was like people that board their cats, right? Or like groom their cats or whatever, right? And so I created a fancy cat owner audience, and I thought of all the searches that like, I don't know, these people would be searching, and I came up with like, people doting on their cats, like they board them and shit. And that's how we ended up making money for that cat litter client. And then demographics is sort of the most broad that I would go with. And that's just like, I don't know, I help someone sell stuff that's like stock advice. Obviously there's just a bunch of older men in that audience. So like the demographics skew that way. And I've been able to make with really good ads, like, 6-minute long good ads that are targeted only to older males, just full broad. I've actually been able to make money with sufficiently low bids, by the way, for the impressions. But that's sort of like the highest funnel that you can go to, and the way that you should be thinking about things. Is life events, is that something that makes someone eligible to see? Or like, are they moving soon? Do you want to show them ads for movers? Like that sort of thing. And what you'll notice here are frequency audiences. Frequency this is the lesson that we borrow from all the decades of TV advertising. If you think of all the brands that you've heard of because you've seen a YouTube ad, they're the Mondays and the Grammarlys and shit. I have a third, so it sounds like I know what I'm fucking talking about, but I can't remember the third right now. And it's because you've seen ad frequency, and that's not a new thing. I'm not asking you to buy into anything new. I would say if my contribution, like if, Corey Henke's responsible for Laid Back versus Lean In, and I don't know if he stole it or not, but I'm giving him credit because I don't know anyone else who did. Mine is going to be frequency, building frequency into your campaigns. And a lot of people are worried about frequency in, display campaigns or whatever, but building frequency in your campaigns in a really smart way. And with YouTube, we don't have to, it's the same thing with they don't have to be 15 or 30 second fucking ads. Quit borrowing the firmware from like shitty legacy advertising methods. Like we can, there's so many more options now. In the bad old days, because they knew frequency is important, they're like, how do we get it? We would say like, people who watch The Simpsons match your demographic. You need a TV ad. We're going to show it on The Simpsons because the people who watch The Simpsons buy your stuff. And the bad news is you can't just pay me for one ad. You actually need lots of ads. And we're going to show them during The Simpsons all month. And that way everyone's going to see your ad more than once and then they'll fucking eat a Snickers or whatever, right? With YouTube, you can just create you can create audiences of people who have seen ads, your ads, in the last however many days you want. So you build frequency into your campaign that way. And you have, people love a fucking rule because they don't like to think critically. But when I asked, I've said at least a third of your budget should be spent in frequency audience campaigns. And that's taking someone who saw an ad yesterday, in the last 3 days, last 5, 7, 14, 30 days, and showing them the ad again, or even a different ad. You can get that specific. You can show someone who saw one video as an ad in the last X number of days and show them another ad, right? Do that. It's so important. And it's the cornerstone to making sure that like they know what to Google whenever they're interested in your product or service, when you are top of mind. And again, I'm not saying nothing happens. I'm not saying when you go, Josh, how's our YouTube ads going, that you go, I don't know. Because you can measure it, right? I'm not trying to wiggle out of doing any sort of attribution. But frequency is important to making people do what we want them to do, and you absolutely need to do it. And YouTube makes it so fucking easy. And I this sucks because I've shown this ad and I thought it was, or I've shown this, I don't know, the slide to people, and I've harped about frequency, and people still have trouble with how to do it. You just go into the audience manager after pairing your YouTube account to the Google Ads account, and then you create an audiences, and you select YouTube from the little, you hit the little plus, and then you go down to where it says YouTube users, and then you build in people who saw any video as an ad, and the same thing with like the little ladder rungs for each day, like 1 day, 3 day, 5 day, 7 day, 14, and 30 is what I usually do. And then the same thing for individual ads too. Easy peasy. Shouldn't be hard. That should be enough to where you do this. This is another thing I stole. I don't know who I stole it from. Corey, sorry, man. I owe you one. You get credit. You're the YouTube guy, right? I don't want anybody's money. I just want people to do this well. So he took this from the International Advertising Bureau, I think, which you'll see down here. This is something that clients like because it's noisy and it looks techy, and it's fucking not. But this is just showing that what they were trying to do is just measure different CTAs and the effect on that. But what's more important is that this right here, it's in red and people still fucking miss it. But you need to have a message in the first 5 seconds. That's important. You have their fucking attention. So use the first 5 seconds. They say get a hook, right? I'll show you another thing that I stole. I didn't steal, like it's out there, right? This thing. People love this shit. Oh man, they love this slide. Average view through rate, right? People love this. But the important thing is that, like, I don't know. You can show this to like you, the business owner or whatever. You love this shit, right? You're like, oh, I've got a checklist, right? But whenever you have to go like, well, how am I going to hook their attention? How am I going to engage and illustrate a problem? You need to translate this into something you give a fucking videographer. Anyway, yuck. No to this. But again, what's important is you get a hook in the first 5 seconds. And here are ways that you can, this is one way you can think about how to design a YouTube ad. I don't like this. I've never liked this shit because it oversimplifies the problem in a way that is insulting intellectually to me, and I hate that people like it. I want to say are fooled by the silent bigotry of low expectations or something like that. So just have more respect for yourself than to think that done, great ad. This is another. I think I stole this from Brian Gavin, or maybe it was Corey too. I don't know. Whenever I see a slide from a presentation that I've been shown or shared with, I just keep the ones that I like. And I knew, I was like, oh, clients are going to eat that shit up. Yep, okay, they'll believe I'm hammering in the first 5 second thing. But again, in terms of like, I'm not a videographer. That's the other thing, is how I unsell it, right? I say the video creative is the most important thing on the planet. It's the most important thing. I'm sure you guys have run search campaigns where you go, I cannot believe, because you're making an admission, tacitly or otherwise, that like my website is good enough to pay to bring people to. Whenever you put your credit card into Google Ads to do paid search, you go, because what you were literally doing, simplified down to the dumbest way to describe what you're actually doing, is you're paying to bring people to your website. That's what you're doing. This is what you need to think of with YouTube. You're paying to show someone a video ad. That's what you do. I did video ads today. I paid to show someone pieces of video. So it's the ad is the most important thing. And the bad news for you is I am not a videographer. I am not a video editor. I am a Google Ads guy. So I can't help. I can like help a little bit. I can recognize a bad ad when I see one. I can't help you. I can't do even most or quite a bit of most of that work, right? I can't do some of that. I can do a very little piece of that work of helping you design a great video ad. That's another way. I should probably have a slide for that, but you get it here. But this is something that you can give to a videographer where you can say, do this. This is, I think, Bryant Gavin's contribution right here is we know that some people are going to skip, and there are ways to make the first 5 seconds valuable. If you want to cheat and not think too hard, just say the name of the brand, show the logo, just say the name and say what you do. Parts Project, fucking cool ass t-shirts or whatever, right? Show the brand, show the shirts, right? The first 5 seconds, the skippable ads are still, you get something out of those. You get something out of every impression, which is neat if you're just like fucking lazy and don't care about making something aesthetic. The other thing is people that are going to skip, going to be the skip section of this page actually looks a little bit different now. Like I think the banner goes out a little bit further here, but in the video editor, have him edit the fucking your logo. Just edit the logo in that section of the ad. So in the first 6 seconds or just the entire ad, just have your logo floating right here. And that way, at least just the people that stare at the skip ad button, you get something out of that attention. So even the people that are doing their damnedest to avoid giving you any attention, you get something. And yeah, avoid these areas if there's important things. Put the important shit in the middle. Ugh. So this is, you go, Josh, I'm not going to measure the attribution directly. I trust you. We're gonna give this a shot, right? I'm a Spanish immigration attorney in Texas, and you know what? Showing people who are watching Spanish YouTube videos immigration attorney ads. This is a real case study. This is a case where someone said, "God damn it, that just makes so much sense that I'm just going to give you money to do it, even though and we're just going to see what happens because I trust what you say, and we're just going to see what happens." Okay, so this is where I go, all right. So I've either talked you out of it or I haven't to do YouTube ads or not. So if you do want to do it, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And this is where I talk about we're going to exclude the shit. This is a list of I talk about people who have contributed greatly to just YouTube PPCing. This is Joe Martinez. I think it's Milwaukee PPC on Twitter. I've talked to him on the phone once. He's a nice guy, but I wouldn't say I worked with him. I've worked at Clicks before, but not on an account with him. But anyway, he developed the YouTube exclusion list. You will know there's just a glut of YouTube content on YouTube, or of children's content on YouTube. We try to exclude it wherever we can. The other thing that we're going to exclude all the apps that we can, because in video partners, that's all shit. You don't want someone who's playing Scrabble or something to be forced to see your fucking ads. Again, we want the captive audience. We don't want someone who's waiting 5 seconds to play the next game or whatever. Category experience is where I go over category experience, and I might talk about how much fucking money I've spent, like that means anything. The playbook is, we know we're going to build frequency in. Hopefully I get some smart personas. I'm smart. Let me build the fucking personas. And we talk about what are we going to do to make you money, right? Why should this work? And then creative talent. I know a lot of video editors, and I've had the fortune of, even my first PPC job, I worked with people that were talented videographers and were able to cut ads that made the cut the mustard or whatever, right? They've heard me bitch. You've only had to listen to me talk for fucking 45 minutes, 48 minutes. But they've heard me say this until I'm blue in the face. And so the people that I've worked with before are practiced enough to get us close. So we're not starting from zero. And I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, I'm all done. So apologies if you're a client that had to sit through this. I probably should have taped this in the morning whenever I'm not got a fucking gluten brain after eating a big lunch. I tried to suck down the espresso. I don't think it helped very much, but that's my spiel. I hope this saves me hours of having to give this pitch in the future. And I hope to Christ whenever I hit stop that this will actually be saved on my desktop. Thanks. See you. If you want to pay me, find ways to pay me. I'm Sate11 on the RPPC Slack channel. Bye-bye. Sorry anyone I offended. I didn't mean it. You're more important.